न जानामि योगं जपं नैव पूजां नतोऽहं सदा सर्वदा शम्भुतुभ्यं जराजन्म दुःखोऽगतातप्यमानं प्रभो पाहि आपन्नमामीश शम्भो।
A warm welcome to all the devotees on Raksha Sutra English. We are going to narrate wonderful holy stories to all the devotees from the book Miracles of Love by Ramdas Ji, an exclusive devotee of Maharaj Ji. Please listen carefully, all the devotees. Talking at darshans. He would talk with no limit and with no rhyme or reason. If he was abusing someone, he would go on shouting with no end. But he was hearing everything. What an intoxication! He would behave like a very abnormal man, doing all sorts of nonsense, shouting and abusing. But what made you stay there? You wouldn't be conscious of time and space. You never questioned where you were or why you were there. Days and months would pass with him, and they seemed like a moment. Sometimes I wasn't aware that I had not eaten or slept for days, and he made me do things I wouldn't do in the normal course. If I wanted to leave him, he would make me stay. If I wanted to stay another night, he would force me to go. He was always rattling on like a child, talking about this and that, most of which wasn't translated. It was like seeing a fine foreign movie where you don't really need the subtitles. In some instances, he would say a thing only once. If you didn't catch it, it was gone. One Westerner was sitting in front of the Hanuman Murti, consecrated statue in Vrindavan. She was very much longing to see Maharaj Ji. But in those days, he was refusing to allow Westerners in for darshan. She sat there, head bowed, singing some kirtan. Just then there was some flurry of excitement. She looked up and there, standing directly in front of her, smiling so very sweetly, was Maharaj Ji. Then to her delight, he cocked his head and said in English, "Too much." Several Westerners were recalling Maharaj Ji's hit parade of English phrases. A few were coconut right face, quick march, left right go, sit down, bus has come, sometimes damn fool, commander in chief thank you, stand up water. When you were with Maharaj Ji, you talked about what he wanted to talk about. If you started your topic, Maharaj Ji would ignore it or change it. There was no conversation around Maharaj Ji other than with him. Maharaj Ji talked about irrelevancies as if they were very important. Maharaj Ji would talk to one and be hitting another, and only the one who was supposed to would understand. Maharaj Ji showed great interest in everything, just like an ordinary man. He had no pretensions, yet nobody could deceive him. With the Westerners, the talk usually included a series of routines. With many of them, Maharaj Ji developed special routines, and the particular individual would be called to the front day after day to perform the same dialogue. To one young woman, he would ask each day the same questions. What are Indian women like? Why are they good? She would reply each day with the same answer, because they are devoted to their husbands. To another devotee, he would ask again and again, "Will you marry?" The devotee would always reply, "Maharaj Ji, how can I marry? I am so useless." to another, "What is your name?" "Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the name of a great Indian saint," which Maharaj Ji would then repeat and cock his head appreciatively. He had trained us well as performing humans. One devotee commented about all this. Maharaj Ji had his Jew and we were all inmates. And then there was Aarti, the ceremony of light. It is a ceremony for honoring the Guru. A flame is waved before the Guru and it is accompanied by a chant that enunciates the Guru's many qualities. Under the tutelage of K.K. Shah, one of the long-time Indian devotees, we had learned the entire Sanskrit chant and how to perform the ceremony in order to surprise Maharaj Ji. When we finally performed the Aarti, Maharaj Ji was seemingly so delighted that he made us perform it over and over again. Even though while we did it he talked continuously to one or another of those gathered about him. And from that time on, whenever a new group of Indian devotees came to pay their respects, we were trotted out from the rear of the ashram to perform Aarti and thus show how spiritual the Westerners really were. Through these many repetitions, we learned much. Initially, we had wanted to please and impress Maharaj Ji. Later, the prayer became just more spiritual materialism. But through that constant repetition, we came to appreciate how a ritual can take on a life of its own and generate a spiritual power independent of the specific region for which it is being performed at any one time. Chiding and playfulness at darshans. One of Maharaj Ji's devotees was 80 years old and very spry, like a mountain goat. One day he came in for Maharaj Ji's darshan when a young, distant relative of his was also there. The relative pranamed to the old devotee but didn't get up. Maharaj Ji turned to the elder and said, "If you had money, he would get up and touch your feet." Once a devotee bore a new and expensive sari to darshan. Maharaj Ji said, "You know, Ma, I went to this wealthy family for a visit, but they wore such simple clothes that you couldn't tell the difference between the rich ones and the poor ones, so simple and clean." One evening, Maharaj Ji was out squatting on a dirty street when along came some important people, poets, judges, and officials. As they stood around Maharaj Ji, he asked them, "Why don't you sit?" With some hesitation, they sat down on the street. Immediately, Maharaj Ji arose. "Okay, let's go." I had purchased some apples in Mathura to take a prasad, an offering usually food, which became consecrated when accepted by Maharaj Ji. For Maharaj Ji, they were costly and I had handpicked them. When I offered them, Maharaj Ji said, "Put them away, I will eat them later." I wouldn't do it because of my pride, so I peeled the first and it was rotten, and so with the second and third and fourth. Maharaj Ji looked at me and said, "I told you to put them away." I discovered later that the other 5 were fine. I was working in Agra, and whenever Maharaj Ji came to Vrindavan, I would take him 10 or 15 rupees worth of prasad. I would see others coming with so much more that one Sunday I felt quite bad because I could only bring so little. Monday morning, I was waiting to touch his feet before going off to work, and I thought to myself, with my limits, my 10 rupees are worth 10,000 of someone else. Just then Maharaj Ji came out of his room saying, strange people come to me and offer 10 rupees and say they have offered 10,000. There was one expression he would never allow me to catch with my camera. He would be sitting normally and then all of a sudden he would straighten up and look directly down at you, his eyes wide open and intense. I tried for months to catch that expression. I would take a photograph, but in the time it took to advance the reel, he would return to normal, jiggling and laughing. He would look at me and smile with delight at my frustration. I wish I would had motor drive. Once he walked over to me and took my bamboo staff and began to do this Chaplinesque dance with it. He moved it back and forth as if he had never seen a stick before, as if he were a large monkey. He started playing with it and moving it around. Then he just threw it away and walked down the road. That was the end of that darshan. I was the only one who saw this happen. One morning the coals in the brazier in front of Maharaj Ji had gotten really low, so they piled some wood on it, and of course the wood started to smoke and wouldn't light. So Maharaj Ji said they should pour some kerosene on it, which they did, but still it didn't light. Big clouds of smoke were coming up. Maharaj Ji was leaning forward, looking, and then all of a sudden, pow! The flames leaped right up to the roof. Maharaj Ji jumped back and delighted as a child, jiggling and clapping his hands. He was so thrilled. One day I got to the ashram very early and I was just sitting over on the porch. Some man arrived carrying a gun. Of course Maharaj Ji said, bring it over, let me see that rifle. So the man opened up the barrel and checked the chamber to make sure it wasn't loaded, even though it was a shotgun. Broken in the middle, he wanted to make sure it wasn't loaded. Maharaj Ji took it and opened it up, and then he snapped it shut and held it up to his shoulder as you would to shoot it. He played a while opening it up and snapping it shut, then gave it back to the man and sent him away. After the man had left, he asked, why does he carry a gun? I said, I don't know, my standard answer. And Maharaj Ji said, he carries it because he is afraid of things. Story is long, so further story will be narrated to all devotees in next episode. To listen the wonderful holy stories of Maharaj Ji, please like, share, subscribe the channel and don't forget to ring the bell icon. Write in the comment box, Jai Neem Karoli Babaji Maharaj.